In April 2020, Quibi launched with the swagger of a Silicon Valley unicorn. It had everything: a $1.75 billion war chest, backing from every major Hollywood studio, and a dream team of founders including Jeffrey Katzenberg, the man behind Disney's animation renaissance, and Meg Whitman, former CEO of HP and eBay. They spent $300 million on marketing in a matter of months. The pitch? Revolutionize how we consume entertainment with quick bites of premium video content, all filmed for your phone. 6 months later, Quibi was dead. So how did one of the most well-funded startups in media history crash and burn so quickly? And what can every business, no matter how big or small, learn from its rise and spectacular fall? That's what we're unpacking today on Business Theory. Because Quibi's collapse isn't just a story about tech failure, it's a masterclass in strategy gone wrong. On paper, Quibi looked unstoppable. Jeffrey Katzenberg had built empires at Disney and DreamWorks. Meg Whitman had scaled eBay from 30 employees to 15,000. They knew media, they knew tech, and most importantly, they had money. Nearly $2 billion raised before a single user had downloaded the app. But here's where the problem started. Quibi wasn't built by creators or early adopters. It was built by executives, people who had succeeded in the past, but who weren't listening to what the present actually wanted. Their idea was simple: high-budget shows, 10 minutes or less, designed specifically for smartphones. But their assumptions were built on outdated views of how younger generations consume content, and that's where we find our first business lesson. Lesson 1. Experience is not a substitute for insight. Katzenberg and Whitman were legends, but their experience was rooted in a different era. They failed to validate whether today's users wanted what they were selling. Lesson 2. Funding does not equal product market fit. You can raise billions, but if nobody wants the product, money just buys you a longer runway to crash. Lesson 3. Product design must start with users, not with vision. Quibi's concept was never tested with real people in meaningful ways before launch. It was a bet made in boardrooms, not living rooms. A dream team without a dream that matched reality is just a very expensive misfire. Quibi was built for the smartphone generation, but somehow it completely misread that generation's actual behavior. Katzenberg described Quibi's ideal user as someone waiting in line for coffee, commuting on the subway, or killing time between classes. The logic? People don't always have 30 minutes for a show, but they do have 7 to 10 minutes. The problem? People already had content for those moments. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. All free, social, personalized, and algorithm-driven. Quibi's pitch was, what if Netflix and HBO made vertical video? But that ignored a massive insight. Mobile users weren't craving high-production mini-dramas. They were engaging with relatable, raw, fast content from creators they followed. Lesson 4. You can't invent demand for a solution to a problem people don't have. No one was begging for Hollywood-level short films. They wanted connection, not cinematography. Lesson 5. Competition isn't just in your industry, it's in your user's attention span. Quibi didn't lose to Netflix or Hulu. It lost to TikTok because it was competing for moments of boredom, and TikTok owned those. Lesson 6. Data must shape product vision. Quibi spent nearly 2 years in development, but ignored behavioral data from platforms like Snapchat and YouTube. The signs were there, they just weren't looking. Ironically, Quibi tried to win Gen Z by being what Gen Z was walking away from: polished, passive, traditional storytelling, just shorter. One of Quibi's proudest features was its turnstile technology, a patented video format that let you seamlessly switch between vertical and horizontal viewing. But turnstile was a solution in search of a problem. Users didn't care. Worse, Quibi blocked screenshots and screen recording, which made it nearly impossible for content to go viral. There was no share button, no social integration, no comments, no community. And if you wanted to watch on your TV, you couldn't. Quibi restricted access to mobile only for the first several months after launch. In a world built on content sharing and communal watching, Quibi was a closed island. Polished, yes, but isolated. Lesson 7. Great products don't just work, they spread. Shareability is not a feature. It's the lifeblood of digital products. If your content can't move, your growth dies. Lesson 8. Flexibility is functionality. Forcing users into one experience, mobile only, no casting, no screenshots, isn't innovation, it's friction. Lesson 9. Virality is user-led. You can't buy word of mouth. You have to earn it by enabling people to talk about and share your product. Quibi thought they were protecting their IP. What they were really doing was preventing discovery. And in 2020, if you're not discoverable, you're disposable. In the months before and after its launch, Quibi spent over $300 million on marketing. They ran massive campaigns during the Super Bowl, Oscars, and across every major digital channel. The messaging? Bold, flashy, and vague. Most people still didn't understand what Quibi actually was, or why they needed it. There were billboards with just the logo, commercials that showed celebrities but not content, taglines like "Quick bites, big stories," but no clear reason to care. Even worse, Quibi launched in April 2020, just as the pandemic hit and people were stuck at home. The entire premise of on-the-go entertainment collapsed, but they didn't pivot fast enough. Lesson 10. Awareness without clarity is wasted money. Quibi generated massive attention, but little understanding. People saw the ads, they just didn't know what they were being asked to do. Lesson 11. Timing is everything. Launching a mobile-only platform during a global lockdown was disastrous, and instead of adapting quickly, Quibi doubled down on its original pitch. Lesson 12. Message market fit is as important as product market fit. Even with a great product, you still need a message that resonates. Quibi had neither. $300 million can buy ads, but it can't buy traction if people don't feel a connection to the product you're selling. Internally, Quibi's culture mirrored its product, top-down, tightly controlled, and resistant to feedback. Katzenberg and Whitman were respected, but insulated. They weren't active on social media, they weren't plugged into tech subcultures, and they weren't receiving unfiltered user feedback. There was a deep belief that execution, not iteration, would win the day. But execution only works if you're building the right thing. Meanwhile, tech-savvy competitors were iterating in real time, responding to user behavior daily, not quarterly. Lesson 13. Leadership must be in the trenches. Great founders know their users, not just their investors. Quibi's top execs were respected, but disconnected. Lesson 14. Culture determines speed. In startup environments, slow decision-making is fatal. Quibi's command and control culture didn't allow for nimble pivots. Lesson 15. Ego is expensive. Believing you're the smartest person in the room only works if you are. Quibi's leadership needed curiosity, not just credentials. You can't disrupt an industry if you're not willing to be disrupted by your users. By October 2020, just 6 months after launch, Quibi announced it was shutting down. They returned $350 million to investors, laid off 200 employees, and sold off their content library for pennies on the dollar. The company had lost nearly $1.4 billion. What's wild is that Quibi had good content, Emmy-winning series, star-studded casts, high production values, but none of it mattered. Why? Because people don't care how much something costs to make. They care how it makes them feel, and how easy it is to share with others. Lesson 16. Content is king, but context is queen. Even great shows can fail in the wrong format, with the wrong delivery, at the wrong time. Lesson 17. Fast failure is still failure. Quibi tried to spin its shutdown as graceful, but the truth is, they ignored every warning until it was too late. Lesson 18. The market doesn't care about your credentials. You can be a billionaire with studio backing, but if your product doesn't resonate, your resume won't save you. Quibi's story wasn't a lack of talent or money. It was a lack of humility, agility, and user empathy. So what can we learn from Quibi's 300 million misfire? Let's break it down. First, market validation beats executive vision. Second, user behavior is more powerful than brand strategy. Third, virality can't be controlled. It has to be enabled. Fourth, leadership experience matters. Quibi didn't fail because of the pandemic, or because people hate short videos. It failed because it misunderstood its audience, overestimated its own instincts, and ignored the core principles of building something that actually spreads. So the next time someone tells you they've got the next big thing, ask them, who actually wants this? How do you know? And can I share it with one click? And that's a lesson no founder can afford to forget.